Don and Dean, for each of you, just can you describe balancing, honoring and remembering Johnny with, needing to move on and play hockey?
Yeah, we've obviously talked a lot about it. It's, Johnny will, and his brother, but particular Johnny will be with us all year long. We've kept his stall down in the locker room. We're going to hang his jersey every game. He'll travel with us. And the guys know Johnny would want us to go play hockey. And Meredith said it at the funeral that, Johnny would want you guys to play hockey. So obviously we're going to honor him. We're going to do our first home regular season game is going to be a tribute to him. And I think the players are going to respond to it very well.
Piggyback on that, I met with the captains, and actually the night that they went to the viewing in Jersey, they were sitting around afterwards, and they said, "Well, what would Johnny want us to do?" And they said, "We probably wanted to go watch football and have a couple of beers." And so that's what I'm going to try to, and the coaching staff's going to try to emphasize to our group, is that, as Don said, his stall's there. Tell stories, remember, laugh. With our videos that we've put together for camp, our initial videos, we're like, one of the coaches said, do we take Johnny out of all the clips? And said, absolutely not. Like, Johnny's going to teach. He's going to, we're going to, good and bad. If he didn't back check, we'll show it, right? So, yeah, he's going to be with us. He's going to be a presence, in our locker room, as Don said, at home and on the road.
Go back, row left.
This one's for Dean. Coming into a camp and maybe not being as familiar with your team as you've been with others in the past, do you kind of wade your way into this, or do you jump right on the gas?
Well, it's a good question, because I've asked the coaching staff to not tell me about the players and their personalities, or what happened last year, how they played or how they conducted themselves. I don't care. I don't care what happened last year. I just care what's going to happen tomorrow in practice and moving forward. Yeah, I don't. Of course, we have our line combinations, and just talking to Don and Nasher and Clarkey and the staff, and we've got a couple of guys, 3 guys on the coaching staff in McCarthy and Bowler and Backstrom that have been here, and the video guys. So there's lots of knowledge. There's lots of what we've done in the past, but I don't want to use that, right? I mean, sure, we've got our ghost roster, we've got what we want project, but now we want to see what combinations work. Just because something worked last year doesn't mean it's going to necessarily work right away. So we're going to try different combinations through camp, different D pairs, different line combinations to see who has a chemistry with each other, and then fortunately, a lot of people say, well, you got 8 games, there's a lot of games, but fortunately we have 8 games so that we can see a lot of these different combinations in live, fire, as opposed to just practicing and trying to get a feel for that chemistry there. So yeah, we're looking forward to, seeing all those things evolve as we move forward here.
Whitney, second row left.
Hi, Don. Hi, Dean. For both of you, the thought of bringing in James Van Riemsdyk, what is he going to bring to this team, and how critical could he be? And also, Don, any ideas of bringing in anybody else as well?
Yeah, as far as JVR, I've got to know the player through the years with USA Hockey, and he's an ultimate pro. He's been around a long time. Every year he's scored double-digit goals, and we're looking for goal scoring for sure. So I think even on Tuesday when you walk in the locker room and the players are like, this is great, a lot of guys know JVR well, so the players were excited about it too. But for us, we just thought it was a good fit for, it takes goals to score to win hockey games, and we think he can add that to us. As far as future, we're talking to a lot of teams, and just checking the box to see who's left out there or who might be available through trades. You know, a lot of teams, all the teams are starting their same thing today, their physicals and that. So, you know, as camp progresses here over the next couple of weeks, you know, again, if there's something that we feel will help our hockey team, we will add it. If there's nothing there, then, you know, we're happy with the group we have right here and we go forward with it.
I just think to add a veteran presence in our locker room. We talk about depth all the time. We've got a guy that's played in the league. I just met him this morning. He's a big body, a pro, and you know, I think it's a great situation, a great guy to have within our room.
Go to Hedge, second row right.
Dean, I'm wondering, you know, one of the biggest things for a coach and a coaching staff is just kind of keeping that finger on the pulse of your team as human beings, you know, how they're doing, things like that. Is this season, I mean, how are you approaching that this season, you know, given all the stuff that this team has already been through before the season even starts?
Yeah, I think our entire organization has done a fantastic job so far, and we're going to continue to do that, of offering and having available whatever the players need, you know, to move forward with this, and whatever help that they need. Everyone's different, right? You go through something like this, everybody deals with it differently. Everybody needs different services to help them through it. So we've offered that up to the players. They know that. What I believe is such a positive thing is that, and you guys have listened to our leaders and all the different events that have happened honoring Johnny and Matthew, to listen to our leadership group to talk about it, particularly our captains, how mature and how you know, how they've handled it with great passion and compassion. They will help the group, right? And ultimately the group will help each other, but full confidence in our leadership group that they will do the right things.
We'll come to Dom, front row left.
Hi, guys. You both have talked about the culture, changing the culture for both of you. How do you do that? And what are there some common things that you're going to stress to the players? What kind of messages are they going to hear going forward?
Why don't you start, Ethan?
Yeah, I've said this several times, but the culture gets used a lot, right? And what we want to do is create a better, more positive atmosphere in the dressing room that's already in there. And and I have no idea what happened last year, like I said before, or what's happened in years past. But for me, walking in that dressing room, it seems like it's got an incredible atmosphere in there. Like they're tight, they're together. I mean, obviously we haven't been in a practice, but I've walked around the room, talked to everybody, and I've had several individual meetings with players, and there's a closeness. There's you know what. So do we have to change it? No. Do we have to enhance it? Sure. That's what I try to do that with any team that I've been involved with, and try to make them as close knit as they can. Team first mentality, play hard for each other, have each other's backs. Yeah. Are we going to stress that? Are we going to emphasize that on a daily and constant situation? Absolutely. But as far as changing something, or you know, that has to be turned right around, I don't think it has to happen here, but we are definitely going to enhance it.
Just to expand on that, Dean came to me a few weeks ago before all this happened and wanted to realign the locker room. He didn't like how the setup was with players, how they were grouped together. Players pretty much picked their stalls. And he came to me with the idea of how he wanted, and this is before everything happened, and I thought it was a great idea. You know, it's put some young guys next to some veteran players, and you know, get players communicating. You know, you tend to, in the locker room, segregate to who your friends are away from the arena, and that's not what we were looking for, and that's not what Dean was looking for. So I think it was a subtle change, but I think it's been a big change. I've heard players talk about it. And then the other thing that Dean was big on, which I thought was a great idea, was if you walked in our locker room before, every player had their picture above their stall. It was an individual player. He says, no individual pictures in this locker room. Every picture that's going to go up with a player is going to have another player involved in it. And I think it's little things like that that Dean has brought that you may not notice. We got some new signage in the locker room that it goes a long ways, and I know I appreciate what he's brought down there for sure.
Go to Porty, second row right.
Yeah, for both of you guys. Don, you made a big investment in some veteran players this offseason. But this team a few years ago committed to a lot of young players who have had significant time in the NHL already. How important, how excited are you to see where those guys can get to, and how much does this season sort of hinge on their development and their contributions?
Yeah, a lot of we talk about our young players. They've had 2 or 3 years in the league now. You know, the Cylinders and Fantilli's obviously newer. Ken Johnson. You know, we're looking for these players to take that next step. We're not going to force them into that. They're going to be provided an opportunity, and they got to take advantage of it. So, you know, I'm pretty familiar with this team, playing against you quite a few times the last few years. To go along with our veterans, we have some great veterans, but the young players, we need them to continue to grow and get better. And as they do, we're going to grow as a hockey team.
The other thing I'll just elaborate a little bit is that we're going to try to create, we're not trying, we are going to create an earned culture. It's a clean slate, right? Don's new, I'm new. As I just stated, I don't care what happened last year. I don't care how many goals you scored last year. You know, it'll help you obviously to start, but after that, you're going to earn your ice time. You're going to earn your position. You're going to earn where you play and how much you play, and that'll be dictated by the player. We'll define roles for the players, like we'll define what we believe their role is, but that doesn't mean that that's their role for the rest of the year. They can change their role. If you want more ice time, then do more. You want to play in a power play, then show that you're going to set goals up and you're going to score goals. You want to play in a PK, then show that you're going to block shots, you're going to clear pucks, you're going to win your puck battles. So it's a clean slate for everybody, young or old. I don't care if you played one game or 1,000 games. Everybody's starting fresh.
Mark, second row left.
Yeah, for both of you, I know, Don, when you talked to us in Buffalo, you were talking about there could be some dark days. So when a player really needs to talk to you guys, is there a clear protocol that they can approach you? Is it going to be like an open door policy if anything ever comes up from their point of view?
Yeah, 100%. I think both of us feel that way, that our door is always open. And, you know, we all manage and coach differently than I'm pretty much around the locker room every morning. I like to be around the locker room, and it's not see how the guys are doing. It's just the way build relationships with the players away from the ice, where you know you get to know them, see how their families are doing, the kids are in school, all that. So that's just the way I operate, and that'll continue. But I believe that there's no doubt if players want to speak to either one of us or both of us together, that's going to be very well accepted, and we'll certainly be open to that.
Go to Hedge, far right, second row.
Don, I'm wondering if you have an update yet on Justin Danforth, and then also added James Van Riemsdyk. Is there plans to add more as well, you know, as we go forward here?
We got good news on Danforth the other day. He's been cleared 100%. He can start stick handling. He won't get into practice immediately. Dean's got a plan to bring him in, but he can start stick handling and start shooting the puck. And as he progresses, he'll get moved into practice, but he's fully cleared. And like I said before, we'll continue to stay abreast of what's going on around the National Hockey League with the other GMs. I think I talked to 5 or 6 already today. You know, it's just, again, you never know. You want to be on top of something if possible. You know, it can't always be, but if somebody's going to do something out there and make a move, that a player that we have interest in that we think is going to make our team better, we're definitely here to act on that.
Go to Mitch, third row right.
Yeah, wanted to ask Dean, with everything that's gone on in the last few weeks, how cathartic is it, or maybe a relief even, to actually turn your sights toward hockey and be on the ice and get back to work?
Well, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but like Don talked to Boone, right, close around the situation of Johnny and Matthew's passing. He asked if they wanted to come in still, and he's like, yeah, he said he thought it was important that the guys are all together here in the room. I think it's just progressed to now, yeah, we want to be in the room together, but we want to actually get on the ice together as a group, start practicing together, our structure. So it's no different for us and the coaching staff. We had our kind of last meeting here this morning, going over the practice plan for tomorrow, and everybody's juices are getting, going and excited about getting on the ice and actually implementing what we want to do as a coaching staff to start the process of establishing our structure, our work ethic. They get an opportunity to see, who we are in the next stage as far as going on the ice, and then it'll obviously progress into that first exhibition game in Buffalo. So yeah, are we excited? Yeah, I mean we're jacked to get it going here. It seemed like it's dragged a little bit, obviously, but we haven't had a whole lot of time, certainly since I was hired and we put our staff together. It's come up pretty quickly, but we're completely prepared and looking forward to getting on the ice here tomorrow morning.
Whitney, second row left.
Dean, something that's evolved in sports over recent years is the idea of mental health, and that players can go through trauma differently. As a new coach, it's always important to get a one-on-one relationship with each of your guys. How much even more important is that now, understanding that everyone is going to handle this in their own unique way?
Yeah, you're right. It has evolved and it has become more of a focus for sure. But it's always been that way, right? Like I can go back to my first year in the NHL and the coaches. Yeah, there was a little more, just go out and do it, and if you don't, you sit or whatever. But there were still relationships built, right? And that's what we're trying to do. And yeah, I mean, sure, there's a few more challenges in today's world, and certainly in our world now. There'll be some challenges, emotionally, for sure. Guys are going to go through it, but again, we're going to do it together. And as Don just said, our doors are open, and if a player needs help beyond whatever we can provide, then yeah, 100% we will get it for them. There's lots of resources for us today, and our medical staff and our doctors and onward will, everybody will be available and ready to help in any way we can.
Time for a few more. We'll go to Mike A-Race, third row right.
Yeah, this is for both of you. Do you have a general sense of how you want to winnow the team down? In other words, what the rhythm of it will be, and will you be, say, by the end of this month?
I missed part of that. I'm sorry, Mike.
Do you have an idea of the rhythm of how you want to winnow the team down? In other words, what it'll look like maybe by the end of the month?
Well, I always say it's we don't pick the team. The players pick the team, because how they perform is going to, obviously we know there's a group of guys that are going to be here for sure, but we have some opportunities right now that are available, and we always say the players that perform, we're here to win hockey games. I don't care about guy makes $1 or makes $10 million. We're here to win hockey games, and we're going to keep the best players possible. So we got 8 exhibition games in 11 days. We'll mix up the lineup quite a bit, make sure we don't put anybody in a situation back-to-back games too much with injuries and so forth. But I think our rosters are due on the 8th of October. And our last exhibition game there is on the 4th. So I think right about that time we should be in good shape with our team.
So just continue with that is that we've got 2 groups in training camp, and we will get to, it'll look like it will be our group and Cleveland group once, the junior players go back. And I stress this to the players as well, that just because you're in the Cleveland group doesn't mean you're not going to play games, doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to move up and down, no different than when you are there. So, we don't have a ton of bodies. There's some camps that have 80 guys. We don't. Don and I specifically want it that way. But as Don said, there's opportunities for guys to make our hockey club, and if they don't make it right out of training camp, there's obviously opportunities to get called up and be in the mix to, as far as our depth that we need and want in Cleveland. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting our group together, but that doesn't mean that it's set until we break camp.
Last 2. First, we'll go to Ryan, back left.
Either of you guys can answer this, or both, and you've both kind of touched on it a little bit. And when I ask this, I'm thinking of goal in specific, but it could even be on the back end or anywhere on the team. In goal, you've got 2 guys with one-way contracts. If Jet Greaves comes in and he is by far the best goalie, is he going to be the goalie that starts opening night? And then even like a Denton Matejchuk maybe on the back end, if he shows he's ready, will he be on the roster?
Well, I'll go back to what I said, let's start with the goalies. We're here to win games. If he's our best guy in camp here, and he's going to get a chance to play games for sure. Contracts are contracts. I've never had a problem if somebody beats out a player that's on a one-way contract. That's our business. So, we want to keep the best players. And, Matejchuk's a little different player. He's fresh out of juniors. I watched him last year in Cleveland. He's certainly going to be an NHL player for a long time. Whether it's best for him to be here, we'll see how camp goes. Sometimes those guys, if they're going to play the 6th or 7th role, the third pairing, or the extra D, they're better off playing in the American League for 40 games and get that experience. So, we'll measure all that throughout camp. We feel good about our defense. We've got real good depth there. But doesn't mean that Denton can't come in and make an impression where he earns that opportunity.
I think with the 8 hockey games, 8 exhibition games too, inevitably every year that I've been in this league, a player or several players will come in and go, I didn't get a fair chance. Well, they're going to get a fair chance, right? Guys are going to get a chance to play multiple games, and as Don just said, they will dictate if they play, if they earn the opportunity to play in another game, or if they earn the opportunity to be here at the end of the camp, then that's on them. And we're looking forward to those competitions, being had throughout training camp.
We want to have to make tough decisions. That's what we want to make those tough decisions.
And we'll wrap up with Ed, 3rd row middle.
Don, you've mentioned talking to other GMs, maybe looking to add a goal scorer by trade. As we go through these 8 preseason games, is that still going to be a primary focus for you, or are you considering players that may still be available via free agency?
Wait, I asked Don for a 60-goal scorer and a 100-point guy. Is that what you're getting to?
If we could get one.
Well,
I think by adding JVR, yes, goal scoring is always a premium, but we also have to get a player, if we decide to make a decision on a player, either through trades or free agency, that it's got to be a right fit. First of all, it's got to be we do so much background on these players. You guys all know through the coaching search, it took me 6 weeks before I interviewed Dean because I wanted to make sure that we did homework, because it was a tough one to do on. Anyways. But, as we go through camp, we'll see. And the other thing, unfortunately, sometimes you run into injuries at a particular position, so we have to be aware of that. There's a lot of guys right now on tryouts with a lot of NHL teams. We have that list, so we're going to make sure that our scouts are out there watching these players. But, we're going to keep an open mind to it that, because of the salary cap and where we're at, we have room if a player becomes available that has a higher salary. We don't have an issue with that either. Again, as long as it's a player that fits how Dean wants the guys to play. So we're pretty open-minded about it.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great day.